Hello English language learners around the world. Today we're going to talk about how you can easily learn thousands of words in English and remember them. I know a lot of you have spent hours trying to memorize English words, but either you got frustrated or gave up because it just wasn't working. Well, today we're going to look at the best way to learn and memorize English vocabulary. There is a very useful program that you can use on your computer for free, which makes memorizing English words easy. The program is called Anki. Now, if you've never heard of Anki, in this video, we will go over how the program works and how to use it. Because the program by itself is useless unless you set it up properly. If you have heard of Anki and you're already using it, keep watching and you'll learn some useful tips on how you can improve your English study with Anki. So what is Anki? Anki is a digital flashcard system that allows you to create cards for words that you want to memorize. You might have used flashcards in high school when you were studying for a class or a test. The nice thing about Anki is that you can create your own flashcards and you can customize your cards any way you want. You can write sentences, ask questions, add pictures, and even attach sound files or videos to your cards. This means that you can create powerful cards that will stick to your memory. And it's also easy to review thousands of words in the program without having to write it down on paper. What makes Anki special is that it uses something called SRS learning. SRS stands for Spaced Repetition System. And how it works is that instead of memorizing a long list of words every time, the system helps you focus on the words you need to memorize the most. This way, you don't waste time memorizing words that you already know well. And words that you have difficulty remembering will appear more often. This will help to put more words into your long-term memory. Studies have shown that learning with SRS is one of the most efficient ways to memorize information. And according to an SRS expert, in short, SRS is not better than other systems, this is the only system. This is simply how memory works. Either you do a spaced repetition or you lose a memory trace. Or worse, waste time on unnecessary or even harmful repetition. So with that being said, let's take a look at how Anki works. I have the program Anki here, and you can see that it has a very simple and straightforward interface. I have a deck here that I've already created to give you an example of how the program works. So all of the cards that you're about to see are cards that I've easily created with the program for words that I want to memorize. So my first card has a question here which I have to try and answer. So what is this in English? I think it's a spatula. So when I've decided that's the answer in my mind, I click on Show Answer. Now depending on how easy it was for you to remember that answer, you click on one of the buttons below. If you knew the answer immediately, you can click Easy. But if you were completely wrong or had no idea what the answer was, you should click again, so that this card comes up more frequently to give you more practice. The card will continue to appear until it becomes easy, and then it will stay in your long-term memory. Now to effectively use this method, you want to practice every day, or almost every day, to take advantage of SRS learning. Of course, in the beginning, when your decks are very small, it might seem like this is too easy. But as you add more cards to your deck day by day, it will quickly start to become a real challenge. With the program Anki, it's possible to set up decks that help you to practice vocabulary, grammar, and with sound and video files, you can even practice listening and pronunciation. You can also focus on specific topics. So if you have difficulty with prepositions or phrasal verbs, you can create a deck that helps you focus specifically on that. Today we're going to talk about how you can set up a vocabulary deck. Now you might be wondering what's wrong with the traditional way of studying vocabulary. Well, let's take a look at the old way of studying. If someone wanted to learn the word cat, maybe that person would look up the word cat in the dictionary and just find the translation. So let's imagine this person is French and they see the translation for chat is cat. Now what happens when that French person goes outside and sees a cat? That person thinks to himself, the English word for chat is cat. But the problem here is that the brain is translating in the moment. Now this cat idea is a simple example, But if your brain has to translate every single word as you're trying to speak, it's going to slow down your speaking. So with Anki, instead of training our brains to translate all the time, we want to connect images and ideas to English words. So that way we can begin to think and speak in a natural way, like a native speaker. So when you make your Anki cards, you're only going to use English. If you're a beginner, you can start with pictures for the words you want to remember. Now an easy place to get pictures is Google. You can type in any word and pick one you like. Or if you want to connect the vocabulary even more, you can take your own pictures. If you have a cat, take a picture of that and use that for your flashcard. If you're learning vocabulary for household objects, walk around your house and take pictures of those things. And use those pictures for your flashcards. You can even use pictures of different people you know to learn new words about friends, family, jobs. Don't be afraid to get creative. Now to give your cards a focus, it's important to write questions in English, or use arrows and prompts to focus on a specific answer. If you just put a picture on the card without a question, you're not sure what you're trying to remember. There needs to be a clear idea of what the card represents. And you should always use complete sentences with your questions and answers, so that you get some extra practice with sentence structure and practice thinking in complete sentences. Now you might be wondering, okay Ross, that's useful for beginners, but how am I supposed to learn more advanced vocabulary? Well, we still follow the same idea. We create cards using only English, and we try to connect English words to ideas. So let's imagine you're learning the word fantastic. How do I find a picture for fantastic? Well, first I find out what the word fantastic means, and then I try to connect the words to an idea. Maybe I heard someone use this word, and they said, "Last weekend I ate a fantastic cake." So using only English, I create a card with a picture and the words I want to learn. He made a fantastic cake. What does fantastic mean? Fantastic means something is really good or amazing. The cake is fantastic. Notice how I use only English in my question and definition. And I attach the word fantastic to an idea in English. Now, when I think of the word fantastic, I imagine this fantastic cake. And I don't have to translate to my native language. I already understand this word and I have a memory of it. I can study advanced vocabulary with Anki by setting up situations and using simple vocabulary that I already know to explain the advanced vocabulary in a simple way. When you think about it, when little kids learn English, they often ask their parents, "What does this mean?" And parents often explain complex words to kids in a simple way. So by learning like this with Anki, you're learning English in a more natural way that doesn't rely on translation all the time. Now you might be thinking, "Oh my goodness, Ross, this is going to take a long time to make all of my cards." And that's true. But when you look up a word on Google Translate or in a dictionary, how long does it take you to find that definition? 1 second. And how long does it take you to forget the definition? 1 second. It's no surprise that something that only takes 1 second is going to be forgotten in 1 second. Another part of the reason why this Anki method is so effective is that if you take the time to create a card, find a picture, create a situation, set up a situation, and then practice that card frequently, the word and idea will stay in your long-term memory because it's occupying more space in your mind, as opposed to a 1-second translation on Google Translate. Plus, it's not as bad as you think. It usually takes me only a few minutes to review my cards and decks, and about 20 minutes to create some new cards. Did you know that if you create only 10 to 15 cards per day and then review them every day for 3 months, you will have learned and memorized over 1,000 words. That's enough words to handle almost every kind of everyday situation in English. And that's just in 3 months. Imagine what you could do with a whole year of studying with SRS. So that's how you use Anki to study and remember English vocabulary. There are lots of other programs which use SRS for language learning. But I like Anki the most because of its simplicity and flexibility. And the computer-based program is completely free. If you prefer another program, feel free to use that one, as long as you follow my tips from this video. Like I said before, Anki can also be used to study grammar, pronunciation, and listening. In my next video, I'll take a look at some other ways you can use Anki to expand your English studying. There's a link in my description box to the website where you can download Anki. And if you want to learn more about SRS learning, there's another link that explains how medical students use SRS to memorize thousands of terms. So if you know someone who is struggling with English vocabulary, be sure to share this video with that person. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. As usual, have an awesome day everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.